Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and today I'm getting to prune up the last of my tree species for the season. It's going to be my Thuja Occidentalis. I have a few different trees, one in a group planting, one singular one. They're a few years old. I got them from a nursery, and this was prior to me starting my bonsai journey. So they have never been pruned up or pruned as bonsai, but I've just maintained them maintain their health and let them grow as large and as wild as they want. So they're really looking healthy, but I think it's time to give them their initial bonsai treatment. I'm not going to be repotting until probably the fall, until the spring. It's just starting to come into the fall season now, but this will be the last of my outdoor trees that I'll be pruning for this year. So kind of sad that pruning season's over. That's the most fun for me, other than growing trees from seed and watching them, grow up. That's ultimately the most amazing feeling. And then when you do prune them, watching them bud back and, checking out all the new branches and ramification. So these ones have been growing extremely muscularly. It's time to do some work. So that's what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. So before we go up front and get these other thujas that I'm going to prune up, I just wanted to show you the progress of my little forest here. So right now it's like completely cluttered. I would say there's no shortage of 50 trees in there, maybe even up to 100. But that's my goal. This would be the front with my Colorado blue spruce. All of these are from seed. And then going a little further back into the Connecticut red pines, I believe they are. And then finally in the back, it's a whole mass of Thuja occidentalis. And I believe this might be a Rosa Sharon that decided to volunteer itself in there, so I might take that out. But this planting is mimicking an extremely dense Connecticut evergreen forest. And it's my absolute favorite thing to go out on a trail and you look up and you have these trees that are 100 feet tall and there's really no foliage except for the very top. So that's what I'm trying to achieve here. So I won't be pruning this one up today, but I just wanted to show you. I've shown it in previous videos. It was looking pretty rough coming out of dormancy and the basement greenhouse that I have this past spring. So I'm really excited to see that it's recovered, it's greened up, and it's actually, put on some nice growth. So I'm assuming that it was this past month that the Thujas really liked, because I didn't even notice how tall they were getting until just now. But we will leave them probably at least until spring, maybe even summer, before we prune this planting. So let me go grab the other pots. All right, y'all. So small change of plans. So I'm not going to move these and bring them up to the back deck where I typically do my prunings, because not only is this thing really heavy, which typically wouldn't deter me, but there is a ginormous crack down the entire side. And going into winter, I do not want to repot this thing, going into fall even. So I'm not going to move it. So this might not be the best angle. However, we're going to work with it. So I'm actually just noticing down here, it looks like we have a little spruce tree that popped up. That's cool. It's probably still so tiny because it gets no sun, because this thing is just huge. It's just big and full. I really do love it. But it's time to do some work on it. It's just getting out of size, even for the big pot that it's in. And I eventually would like to get it into a smaller pot. So I'm going to have to take out some of this foliage. It would just be way too top heavy. It's more like a bush right now. Bonsai bush instead of a bonsai tree. So we won't tell Laura, because I'm not supposed to be out here, because this is where we had a white-faced hornet's nest, which is actually a wasp that can sting you multiple times. And it has facial recognition. So once it observes you as a threat, like, it will literally fly through a crowd to sting you again. So I was out here on Friday practicing ballet with Franny, And yeah, I know I'm absolutely terrible, but I could lift her and throw her around, and that's what she wanted to practice. So, anyways, practicing ballet with Franny, and for the second time in a week, I got stung. I got stung 3 times by one on my arm, and I literally couldn't even make a fist. My whole arm was so swollen and itchy. I was having like shakes and stuff. When I was a kid, I was diagnosed as having a bee allergy, so it was kind of scary. But honestly, like, I literally have to be dying to go to a doctor or the hospital ever since I left the Marine Corps. I just had so many surgeries and so many bad memories of the hospitals. They just put me into a funk, so I avoid them. So anyways, I'm in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I short of breath? Is my throat swelling? I didn't want to alarm Laura, but I got through it. My arm, got back to normal. Spent a good amount of money on an exterminator coming to take the huge nest out. It built itself up against our electrical box. And so, short story long, she doesn't want me doing yard work the rest of the season or being out here just in case, some of them are still around. So we won't tell her. So I kind of like the shape of it. I just want to thin it out a little bit and bring down this apex, I'm thinking, and then bring in some of the width. I don't really like my trees, unless they're cascading or something like that, to be outside of the pot. I don't know if that's like a general bonsai rule, or I heard it somewhere along the way and it just stuck with me, but that's pretty much my rule of thumb. So we have a pretty solid, large apex here. These are nice, thick branches. So I'm going to take them out. Come right down here. And boom, boom. I don't know if these root is cuttings, but I have enough trees, so I'm not really doing cuttings anymore. Man, when you have something this big that you've let go this long, it's like kind of hard to get in there. So this is what I'm going to do. I have way too much to say, but I got a lot to do, and I can only fit so much on a video. So I'm going to put it on a time lapse, and y'all can watch me prune this bad boy up, and then I'll give you a shot of it after. All right, y'all. So I'm getting buzzed by all sorts of little stinging creatures around here. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there for today. But I have some more trunk work to do. And I think it's coming along nicely, actually. I got a little bit more work to do probably on the interior to remove some cross branching. But I did remove a lot of foliage today. So I think I'll probably leave it like this for the remainder of the season and see how it fills back in. And since I let it go for so long, it's going to be a multiple step process to getting it look like a proper bonsai tree. But I think it's one tree or maybe two that fuse together, multi-trunk. I raised the canopy a bit, took out some cross branching, and then you probably saw I just did a little profile prune around the top, and it's shaping up nicely. I'm happy with that. So I'll just show you this other one over here. Probably wouldn't be smart for me to get up in the flower bed and stuff, considering the huge nest was there. But those are the three that have just grown up nice and tall. Those are actually American Arborvitae, and I believe this is like a golden cypress, maybe Thuja. There's so many different species I have. I can't keep track of some of the older ones that I didn't grow from seed. I don't remember. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today here at Jarhead Bonsai. Join me back for part 2, where I will finish off this one and find a way to get the box planter of 3 into a bee-free zone, bee, wasp, and hornet-free zone. Remember, do not tell my wife that I was out here. That's Broski Coat. Hopefully she doesn't watch this video on her own. Anyways, that's going to do it for us today here at the ranch, y'all. I had a really good time. I hope you enjoyed it too. Cheers.